Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As any good historian ought to know, in 1773, some colonists dumped some tea. Shortly thereafter, 13 colonies penned a strongly worded letter to King George III, and thus began the American Revolution in 1776. After the conclusion of this great war, John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay wrote the Constitution of the United States. This document ushered in a time of peace and tranquility for 247 years until the present day. Unfortunately, this is an idealistic and inaccurate representation of our nation's founding, as it brushes over one of the most important documents of United States history, the Articles of Confederation and perpetual union between the states. The Articles of Confederation consisted of 13 articles, contributed to by 13 delegates, one from each colony, although it was primarily written by Delaware delegate John Jay. The articles outlined states as largely autonomous, with some restrictions and significant obligations to other citizens and their respective states. In fact, the autonomy of states under the Articles of Confederation and its focus on weak central government was ultimately its undoing. That being said, let's get into the articles themselves. Article 1 requires no summary. Quote, Article 1, the style of this confederacy will be the United States of America. Article 2, continuing this theme of simplicity, states that states will retain all freedoms, liberties, and jurisdiction that is not expressly delegated to the United States Congress. Article 3 demands that states will, quote, enter into a firm league of friendship. This league of friendship for the purpose of mutual defense under all circumstances without exception. Article 4 gives citizens the right to travel between states without exception and enjoy all of the respective rights and privileges of that state, with the caveat of abiding by that state's laws. Article 4 also sets up criminal extradition between states. Article 5 stipulates that states will have between 2 and 7 delegates, or as we would know them, representatives, with one combined vote in Congress. These delegates would have term limits of up to 3 years, every 6 years. Article 6 states that states are not allowed to engage in any treaties or accept any gifts or titles of any kind from any foreign nation without congressional consent. Furthermore, states are also disallowed from entering into treaties with each other without the consent of Congress. Finally, Article 6 places heavy restrictions on states from having paramilitary or state militias, and also places heavy obligation for them to keep up within the confines of the articles and Congress militias to contribute to national defense. Article 7 gives states the right to appoint during wartime or peacetime military officers at or below the rank of colonel. Article 8 states that any military or wartime expenses will be paid for by a national treasury, contributed to by every state based on the value of their land. Article 9 defines the primary right of the central government: declaration of peace and war, and all wartime action therein. Article 9 also gives Congress the final word on boundary and jurisdiction disputes between states. Furthermore, regulation of currency and wartime expenses is the right of the Congress. Finally, Article 9 gives Congress the right to adjourn at any time. Article 10 gives Congress the right to imbue a smaller committee with a bit of its power to expedite some issues. Article 11 gives Canada the right to join the United States at any time. Article 12 binds the United States to pay off any debt owed by the Continental Congress before the creation of the United States. Finally, Article 13 demands that all states abide fully by the contents of the Articles of Confederation. It also contains their closing statements, as can be seen on screen. On the whole, the Articles of Confederation was not a disastrous document written by incompetent legislators, nor was there some innate corruption within its words. Ultimately, it was the intense limitations on central government that was its undoing. Without the right to tax, the United States was unable to pay off its debts, or even less, demand states help them pay off these debts. On the whole, what ultimately led to the downfall of the Articles of Confederation was the excess of state autonomy. Thank you. That is all.